don't you have a seat back there? Talk to the folks. All right. Good to see you there in action. Okay. How about that? How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
Hey, good deal. So I'm just kind of learning what the breakout is and how it works. So what were you guys told in terms of your breakout session? What would happen? You get a chance to ask questions and that kind of thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're going to open that up. So what are your focus areas? What's your majors? What are you majoring in?
I'm industrial engineering, but I really want to be a chaplain.
Okay, industrial engineering. So just so I can know where we are. My dad's in engineering.
Okay.
So.
Professional flatman.
Professional flatman. Okay. Flightman. Okay. I thought you said flatman. I'm like, I don't know what that is. You gonna help me? Okay. All right. How about you?
Aerospace engineering.
Aerospace engineering.
Computer science.
Computer science.
Civil engineering.
Civil engineering. So somewhere in the ballpark figure with everybody. All right. So I'm a chaplain in the military, as you can see. I've been in the military for almost 14 years. So I come from a military family. Just to introduce myself. I come from a military family. My grandfather was a security policeman. He's a retired chief master sergeant in the Air Force. My dad is a retired 06 in the military. He was a civil engineering guy. My wife is a JAG in the military. Yeah, my sister is a nurse in the military. You see where I'm going with this? My other sister is a dentist in the military. You see what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you see where I'm going with this, right? So everybody's like in the military. My mom is a retired master sergeant in the military, and the only reason she didn't go OTS was because my dad got picked up for OTS, and so she decided, Master Sergeant, I'm just gonna retire. You just go on and do it. You just live off your paycheck, basically. So that's kind of how that goes. That's kind of where I am. I just come from the Air Force Academy. That's where I came from, the Air Force Academy. I was what we call the wing chaplain there. So I was responsible for everybody's spiritual growth and development. And that didn't matter what your faith background was. It was my responsibility to make sure you received your rights, basically. Make sense? So I wrote policy there about religious respect and those kinds of things. So that's what I did before I came to AFSC. I've been deployed 3 times. I've been with 3 spec ops groups. So basically, the 1041st. I've been deployed with those folks. It's a camera thing. Yeah, I've been deployed with those folks, and so been downrange a lot, seen a lot. Quite naturally seen a lot, experienced a lot. My last deployment, we were hit by an IED, chain IED, basically. All of us survived. All of us made it out safely. We did 400 missions with 0 losses, so that's a pretty big deal. 400 missions with 0, outside the wire, 0 losses. And so my responsibility as a chaplain was quite naturally to take care of their morale, spiritual, all those things that keep people in the fight. That's where our focus areas was. And so it was a great opportunity to do that. And that's really why I joined. That's the only reason I joined. Coming from a military background, that's the only reason I joined, to take care of families, to help you help us. Does that make sense? Yeah, basically help you help us, regardless of what your career is, what your FSC is. It's my responsibility to take care of your well-being. Not only your well-being, when you get married, take care of your family's well-being, take care of your children's well-being. That's all a part of it. And that's one of the reasons I brought my son today, because I wanted you to see big picture. Big picture. It's not just taking care of you as the individual, but it's also taking care of the families. And so that's what we do as chaplains. So I'm pretty excited about that. Pretty pleased with the opportunities that I've been given, and fortunate about the opportunities I've been given to take care of folks. So that's kind of what I'm about. That's kind of what my idea of serving is about. And so that's why I'm here today. So I want to kind of open this up for any kind of questions you guys may have that I could possibly address for you, just in terms of what your thoughts are. I mean, whether it's in terms of your AFSCs to religious spectrums, what that looks like, what the Air Force look like in terms of diversity, all of the above. I'm here to answer those kind of questions. So I'll open it up. I'll open up the floor. So you said you had some questions, so let's come directly to you.
I guess first, what is a regular day, if it was a regular day for a chaplain look like?
So a regular day for me is pretty much we have, I'll give you an example coming from the academy. So you guys are kind of, because you're in the ROTC world, you get this kind of, this regimen, or this battle rhythm, if you will. So a regular day for me is, in the mornings, I meet with my staff. So I'm talking to the entire staff saying, hey, listen, you know, what's your last name, Brinson? So Brinson is one of the captains that works for me. So Brinson, here's what you got. Your squadron, you're responsible for CE. You're responsible for civil engineers. You're responsible for the CE squadron. Thanks, sir. You're responsible for the CE squadron. So what's going on in the CE squadron? How's the morale over there? What's going on over there? Any issues that we need to address that need to be pushed up the chain to the wing commander? Any type of issues that need to be pushed to the wing commander that possibly need to be vetted through me. So that's what happens at first. That's we're kind of, I call it circle the wagons. We're kind of circle the wagons, kind of talk about what we got going on and what needs to happen. Then from there, you guys are basically released to go do whatever you need to do. Go take care of your squadrons. Go take care of the things that you need to take care of. I'm not micromanaging that. I'm saying, hey, you the guy, so go take care. Go take care of those folks. Then I go in my office and then I open that big old thing, that little small thing that has these 3,000 emails that come up. yeah, that's telling me, that's giving me my marching orders from the wing commander saying, hey, Chaplain Williams, here are the issues. Here's what we got going on. Can you meet over in my office at 1400? I just kind of want to talk about some things. So when I go talk to what I call the big boss, the wing commander, I go talk to the big boss. The big boss is asking me strategic questions, like because one of the four pillars of what I do is called advising folks. And so basically I'm going over there and he's saying, hey, I got this decision to make in terms of which direction the wing should be going, and what I've gathered is we're having some issues in whatever squadron where the leadership and the airmen, are not quite seeing eye to eye, and I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to go about dealing with that. What's the best way to go about dealing with it? I don't want to bend too far to the right and I don't want to bend too far to the left. So let me just kind of bounce some things off of you and just get your perspective on it. And notice, I haven't said anything about religion. You get it? Nothing about religion. Nothing about religion. It has nothing about religion. It's strictly advisement. So he talks to me about those particular things and then I give him what my read on that is, what my advice is on, hey sir, probably what we want to do is just kind of, pull back the throttle and that and just allow the commander, the group commander or the squadron commander to basically deal with that situation. And then, down the road actually get involved in it. So that happens. So I've already checked those 1,000 emails and I've done all of those kinds of things. And after that, I have my own responsibility. I have my own squadrons that I'm responsible for. So most of the time I deal with wing staff agencies which deal with the wing commander, the folks at the wing. So I'm pretty much going by making my rounds, talking to folks, I call it getting a pulse. That's what I call it, getting a pulse. I get a pulse of how people are doing, how people are feeling, what's going on, how are we in terms of morale, how are we in terms of feeling like we're part of the fight, what we're bringing to the fight, those kinds of things. Making sure that we keep folks actually engaged. And that's really what I do, keeping folks actually engaged. Now there's a spiritual component to that because what happens is the more I'm in your squadron, or the more I'm in your group, the more you're comfortable with coming to talk to me about your situations, your concerns, or whatever the case may be. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And so what happens is I get a lot of business out of that. So people are coming. The people are coming from those type of interactions, those type of conversations to say, hey, you know what? Hey, Chaplain, can I come and talk to you? Can I come in? I got this situation going on. I just kind of want to talk to you about it. And so that bleeds into appointments, counseling appointments. Now, a lot of those counseling appointments, some are on spiritual matters, but some are on just everyday life decisions. Some are family situations. Some are career decisions. Then there's a whole host of things that we talk about. But the real big thing is for me to establish that relationship with those individuals, to be able for them to feel comfortable enough to talk to. And now here's the deal. So most people say when they think of a chaplain, the first thing you think of is religious, right? It's the first thing that comes to your mind. Oh, here comes the chaplain. He's gonna come to me and he's gonna tell me, hey, I need to go and I don't know where your faith background is, so I'll just throw out a couple of things. He needs to go open up the Bible, or he needs to go open up the Quran, or he needs to go open up the Torah, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? He's going to open up all of these things and basically run me from A to Z. No, I'm not necessarily going to do that. That conversation only comes up, hear me, that conversation only comes up if you open the door for that. Make sense? There's a word that I want to throw out that's important, and that word is proselytize. I'm not in the Air Force to proselytize. I'm not here to convince you that you need to have a faith, that you need to believe a certain way. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to ensure your freedom of religion. That's what I'm here to ensure that. To ensure that you have a right to believe and practice whatever it is that you believe. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. That's my focus. And to me, I think that's important. I think that's really important because it gives you an opportunity to express what you feel and what you believe as it relates to your religious preference. Make sense? So getting back to your question, so that takes place. That takes place. So I have counseling appointments, and so after those counseling appointments, then the way it works in our Corps is I have to gather all of that data with all that and put it in a system, because everybody has to substantiate why they're here. For us, that's called AFCARs. And basically where we pull all of that and saying, hey, here are the issues, and then that information is then pushed up to air staff, and it's pushed up to our 2-star, who then pushes it to his boss to say, hey, here are the issues that are going on in the Air Force. Here are the focus areas that the chaplain corps is spending their time and energy addressing, so that the senior leaderships can understand what's going on out there with airmen, what's going on out there with families, what's going on out there to be able to better give the support that they need from a command level. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay. All right. What you got?
So how did serving in Spec Ops groups downrange, how did that translate to writing materials at the Air Force Academy?
So I used to be coded, so the code is we have a special code for chaplains who like that kind of stuff, who likes to go downrange and be with Spec Ops folks and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I used to be coded, and what that did for me. How did that work was, so basically we get downrange. We don't deploy like everybody. We don't deploy like most people deploy in like units, squadrons. Like we don't do that. We onesies and twosies. So when I don't know I have a chaplain assistant, and so that brings me to another point. So you do know as a chaplain I can't carry a weapon. You do know that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I can't carry a weapon. So I have to have a chaplain assistant who's with me, who is authorized to carry a weapon. And so I go downrange, I meet that chaplain assistant downrange probably for the very first time, or maybe I've talked to him or her on the phone, through email, etc. So we get downrange, and basically there's I use the 1041st that was my first deployment. So I meet with their commander, and basically their commander, and that's always gonna happen. First thing about a chaplain, he's gonna talk to the commander and say, hey, sir, I just need to get your expectations. I meet with them, and I kind of talk about what the dynamics of his unit looks like, and what their mission is, as much as he can tell me, what their mission looks like and those kinds of things. So we have that conversation, and then what happens is every morning, every evening, so every morning before they go out, I'm having a conversation with, hey, here's, be safe, reminding them of what they're doing, the bigger calls, the bigger fight, what that looks like, basically you put it in terms of a coach. So just before you're getting ready to go out on the field, I'll come in and say, hey, here's what we got, hey, you need to make sure I don't know how many football players or football, you like football or those kind of things. You should, you hear it all, but I'm sure you like it. Yeah, here's what you got to do. This is what was expected. I'm expecting you to hit the hole. I'm expecting you to catch I'm expecting you to do all those things. And you got it. I know you can do it. It's in you, Atkinson. I know you got it, So basically that's the kind of perspective, and I'm coming in just really inspiring them. That's what word I want to use. Inspiring them, that their mission is critical, and that hey, we're gonna not only are you're gonna go out and do great things, but we're gonna make sure that your family's taken care of too. So you don't have to, these are some concerns that you don't have to worry about as you prepare to go on that mission. So that's how that works. And then afterwards, when they come back, after they're, we kind of have what we call a debrief, outbrief. So basically they come back, we're then having another conversation with, hey, listen, everybody good? You good? You good? Remember I told you a minute ago about checking the pulse. You good? Everybody good? What's your thoughts? What are you feeling? What's going on? What's going on with you? Everything's good? And so I run that same type of conversation with them when they come back. So that's what that entails. Now, there were times where I would, because we were going to other locations, that I had to travel with them. So that's when it starts to get a little sticky. It's one thing when they're in this controlled area, but it's another thing when we have to go from one location to the next. And so that's what I was talking about. When we had to go to the next location, stuff happens along the way that can be kind of tricky. But remember I told you, 400 missions, 0 losses. That's the way it was. So does that answer your question?
Well, I was also wondering how that experience helped you write whatever you wrote at the Air Force Academy.
Oh, so religious policies and all that kind of stuff?
How did that help you with
That's
policy?
totally different. Yeah. So big picture wise, everybody has an unique opportunity to share, to practice their particular religion, right? Big picture wise. So at the Air Force Academy, is unique in its own way. And so, I have to choose my words carefully here when I talk about these kind of things. So at the Air Force Academy, we have people who set outside in the front gates looking for opportunities to talk about what we're not doing as it relates to religious freedoms. Does that make sense? We have people who are employed to do those kind of things. Without going into the history of where that came from, which makes it important that we stay ahead of those kinds of things. And that's what I mean when I say writing religious policies, and to ensure that everybody, there's a 0 tolerance for not allowing people to practice what they believe. And this word proselytize that I use, that there's a 0 tolerance for proselytizing. Trying to convince people to believe what you believe. That everybody's entitled to believe what they choose to believe. So that's where that comes in at. It's just like in any academy. You particularly the Air Force Academy, though, you have to make sure that there are certain policies in place because we have such a diverse makeup over there of people that believe all types of things. Who come from all different types of walks of life, and so it's important that we have policies in place that ensure them the opportunity to practice that. So that's a whole different beast compared to being downrange. Downrange, I'm not thinking about policies, I'm not thinking about any of that kind of stuff. At the Air Force Academy, I was thinking about that because that's an institution. That's an institution, and these are the things that have to be in place, particularly when you're dealing with cadets and people who are coming from all different walks of life. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
So I'm an engineer, as you know,
Mhm.
and I'm going to be commissioning in May.
Okay.
Others an engineer or something. I'm not exactly sure, but I want to be a chaplain.
Okay.
I don't know how I can go about doing that once I commission in the Air Force. I was wondering if you had any
Right.
ideas because I'm not going down the usual path to become a chaplain.
Right. So I'm gonna give you a name.
Okay.
His name is Chaplin Costin. Donning Costin. He's the chief of chaplains of the Air Force. Chief of chaplains, Don Costin. So
Okay.
I want you to look this guy up. I want you to look his bio up, which is easy. You ought to be able to pull that up. So Chaplain Costin is a graduate of the Air Force Academy.
Okay.
So he wasn't
Right.
always a chaplain.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see. What I'm saying is that is possible.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I can't answer how long your commitment is
Mm-hmm.
in your particular career field. I mean, do you know how long? How does that work?
Well, you did that 4 years
Yes,
now?
ma'am.
Is it 4 years? Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So then you can. So at your
Okay.
4-year mark, yeah, you can do that. But I want you to look up that name
Yes, sir.
because his story is tremendous. He's now the
Yeah.
2-star, the top chaplain. But that he hasn't always been a chaplain. We have several folks that are in our in the Corps who started off in other career fields that later became chaplains. But also too, I'm taking out my name because however I can assist you along the way. I plan on being around a little while longer, so you can always shoot me an email, you can always shoot me an email and I can assist in any
Okay.
way I can possibly can in terms of getting you connected to the right people.
Fantastic.
Make sense?
Yes, sir. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Any other questions? I think they're peeking in my door here. Any other questions?
For that cross right there, is it different if your religion is different?
Yeah. So this is primarily Protestant. So if you saw a rabbi, hers would look different. If you saw an imam, you know what imam is?
No.
Okay, so imam is a Muslim chaplain. His would look different.
Ah.
Yeah, his would look different. But for Catholic, all of us, this is how it looks.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Can I get your email?
Yes, give me I'll give it to you. So it's Christian.Williams at us.af.mil.
He's gonna be one of the 1,000 emails you're gonna get.
Oh, is it 1,000? Okay, I'm good. So remember, guys, and I told you from the beginning, out the gate, the reason I brought my son is because I want you to know that we're not just here to take care of airmen, but we're here to take care of airmen and their families. That's just keep that in mind. We're here, so as you progress and in life and get married and all those good things, we're here to not only take care of you, but we're here to take care of your family. Okay? Good deal?
Yes, sir.
Good deal. I saw him.